I know we've talked about this before too, especially in the construction or more, working with your hands, kind of blue collar roles as well. There's a culture almost within that, right? Of masculinity that says like, you don't cry, but real men don't cry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You're a pussy.
Exactly.
Right?
And it's literally that language
that
too, right?
whole
Like there's
culture.
like
Yeah,
comedy
big
skits
time.
online about this stuff. And it's quite funny actually, but at the same time, it's also quite sad considering.
Oh, it really is. I mean, like, here's one of the things, and I remember talking about this a while ago with one of my coaches, Jackie McDonald, a few years back. She was doing some EFT tapping with me, and just phenomenal, phenomenal woman. But with one of the things I was chatting about was that culture. And, it was like me opening up, and it was talking about emotional intelligence, which, or emotional resiliency, and opening up to men about this. This was the first time I started talking about I wanted to start coaching men. And the thing that came up about that for me, which was a huge apprehension, was like, the guys that I'm around don't want to hear this shit. Like, we're on the construction site and we're taking the piss out of each other.
Yeah.
And it's like, for me, I'm great at taking the piss out of people.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's good. But it's great if it's in a constructive sort of like good manner. But the problem is it gets taken to a new level. And so many times that becomes the story. And when that's the only thing that's ever being discussed and there's no deeper discussions past that point, then the guys get lost inside the joke.
Yeah.
Right. And the joke becomes the reality. And that's the problem with our subconscious. When we continuously tell it something, that becomes the reality. So if we don't have spaces like Mentorship Mondays, or I'm also a leader of part of Man Talks Alliance with Connor Beaton, there's Sacred Sons, there's endless things out there for men to be able to join and have these containers to be able to talk about it. But there's that whole problem of like, you can only give them the invite, right? And it's like, unless they actually step through that door, it's a really difficult space to actually just step through that door. So men like you and I and all the other guys that are diving deeper into this thing is sharing about this and talking about it and actually putting this out into the world that, hey, it's okay to be hurt. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to express yourself. It's okay to let those fucking tears roll.
Yeah.
That's being a man.
Yeah.
Having that emotional intelligence to be able to take care of your emotions inside is how you are stronger for the outside world.
Yeah. And to ask for help is the other thing that comes to mind too, right? Like I think I mentioned to you that about a month and a half ago, I put out a podcast episode that was another piece of me stepping into speaking more of my truth and even leaning into the thought of, well, if I do this, am I going to come across as angry and people are going to hate me for it? Or they're going to see me as this 14-year-old version of myself that just used to fight all the time? And I didn't get a whole lot of feedback on the public posting of that content, like social media type thing. But I had some people reach out to me privately though. And it really surprised me. Like my cousin's husband was one of them. And, he's a guy's guy as well, right? He's a hunter. He likes his beers. In fact, him and his buddies get together every Monday and they brew beer, right? And they have an aspiration to try and turn it into a company. And he listened to the podcast and just reached out and said, thank you for saying this out loud. I thought that I was going crazy with my own thoughts, where I was saying things out loud where he was going, yes, but then there was a fear though for him to actually say it out loud. And I guess I'm just coming back to the idea that that's just another piece of the puzzle, I think, to crack that nut open and give permission for other men to step into that too and know that, yeah, there's a culture, I'd call it locker room talk or construction site talk or whatever. That's a thing. I've been a part of it too, man. Like I played hockey for 25 years of my life. I know that world.
Right. You know it
yeah,
well.
I know it well. And quite frankly, it was kind of fun in the time. And then I look back though and think like, yeah, that probably was not how I wanted to show up in this world. I want deeper conversations, And then I had to go and seek out those places. Like, where do you even find people like that are open to have a conversation and to not label vulnerability as weakness? That's the biggest thing, right? It's more just of like transparency and vulnerability in the context of like being your honest, truthful self. Because what else are we if not that? You and I talked about that Jordan Peterson and Joe Rogan interview where they were literally saying that, right? Like the whole idea of, You know, you have to speak your truth. It will get you to where you want to go. And ultimately, how the hell do you know where you want to go? All you got to do is just show up.
Well, that's it. Mm-hmm. Well, and if you don't ever speak your truth, if you don't ever put it down on paper, if you don't, journal and actually think about it, if you always mask it, you always, cover it up, you always bury it down, then you're never going to know where you want to go, what the direction is, what the steps need to be. So, yeah, it's like, it's just, like I was saying, get out there and share it.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed that clip and you want to watch the full unedited episode, go ahead and click over here. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe. It really does mean a lot to me. Thanks so much.